Hi, welcome back. So, in this episode, we are diving into the Intersect engine and we are making a 2D massive multiplayer game. 2D pixel art based gaming has had a big resurgence, especially in the indie game development community. And so, we're going to jump in and we're going to teach you a whole bunch about the art, about the resource using, about the game design, things to think of. But we're going to do it at the same time as we're teaching you about the Intersect engine. So I have a whole introduction video on that. You can go watch that one. It's the first video in this playlist, and it'll tell you what we're going to do. It also shows you how to get the server up and running. So right now we're going to switch over. I've fired up the server. It's up and running. We're going to minimize it. And we are going to make a change to it, actually. So you need to know how to do this, and I didn't show this to you in the first one. So I'm going to exit out of the server. I'm going to go into the server. Going to go into the resources folder. Then in there, we're going to go into the config file. Now again, make sure you have a backup of your config file before you make any changes. So we'll scroll down here, and you'll be able to see the changes that I've made. Is I've added a sickle and a skinning knife into my tool types for my resource harvesting and crafting. Then down here, I've also changed my tile size to 50 by 50 instead of 32 by 32. Again, don't ever change the height of 26 tiles by the width of 32 tiles. The area scales around you, and I'll show you that when we get into the game. Into the game editor, sorry. But that's not what we're in here to change. This is something I should have showed you. I showed you that in the last video, just so you're aware of it again. What we're in here to change, and if I could scroll down to find it, max characters. So right here, max characters set to 1. So you can only generate one character and only ever log in with one character. So we're changing that, and we're going to set that to 2. File, save, close. Now, we go back up to the server, and we fire it up. If you did something wrong when you edited that config file, this server will crash on you. Like, it will totally fail. Like, you're not going to have it's just going to blip out. But it didn't crash. We didn't do anything wrong. It's running. Now we're going to minimize the server. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Client Editor. I'm going to run this, and I should be able to create a new character. So log in. See, there's my first character. Pardon the music. Empty character slot. New character. What am I going to choose? I'm going to choose the new class. Create. I cannot use that class. All right. Exit. I don't think I finished setting up that class, so I'm going to quickly log into the editor. But anyway, that's all you do to set up the class, to create a character, and then you're dropped into the editor. So we don't actually need to go and make sure that that's working, although I am, because we're going to show you how things work in the editor. So this is the editor, and I'm quickly just going to jump in. These are tiles over here. This window moves back and forward. Now, I do not have the default tiles. I've removed them. I've removed most of the default stuff. So we don't have those in here. What I do have is, you can see this dude right there is the default. That's a clown, and that's the default character style, the 8-bit style that comes with it. I felt the need to leave him here just to show you. I'm going to use him as an NPC for setting up some stuff later on. But I just wanted to make sure to show you what the default art style is. And then if I go into game editor, class editor, and I go down to new class, change clown, that's fine. We're going to need to go, you could change your hit points and everything here when you're setting up your classes. I'm actually going to set these hit points to 25. I'm going to set everything to 10. And we're going to set this to 2 points just so I can show you. So we haven't done any spells yet. We'll get to those later. Hit point regen. We're going to say you regenerate 10% of your hit points per round. We're going to say that you also generate, let's bring this up to 25% of your magic points. Now, those are probably not balanced. This is not balanced or anything like that. There is a whole process for figuring out and balancing. There's also some suggestions in the forums and some charts that someone's made in order to plan out and work with it. I really suggest you get a feel for this. Make a couple practice monsters, do some fighting, some practice skills and projectiles, things. Get a feel for it. I'm just showing you the overall. I'm not showing you how to set your numbers. I'm just setting these so that we have a working base damage. We're going to set base damage as 5. And I don't care about any of that. Base damage is physical. Leveling, sure, that's fine. I don't care about any of this. When you level up, we're going to give you an extra 2 points. Sure. All right. And we're going to go hit points. We're going to give you an extra 5 when you level up. Magic points, an extra 5 when you level up. And then you got 2 points to spend on your other abilities. Perfect. All right. So that's saved. So now we're just going to minimize that. Open the client again. Again, pardon for the music noise. I should probably turn that down. Settings, audio, music volume. There we go. Apply. Perfect. Log in. And I'm just using admin here. It's not what I use for my actual, this is a copied version of my actual working project. However, I use that just for ease of remembering to log in while development because it's not hosted anywhere. So now we're going to go new character, class. We're going to choose new class. I do have Wold Warrior as well. I have a Druid. It's just a little bit of a peek as to what I'm doing in my Celtic journey. New class. And then we're fine with that. Create. I'm not sure why it's not letting me create it. It should be letting me create it. Let me try Wood Warrior. Oh, I know why. Never mind. New class. You have to put a name in. If you don't put a name in, let's call this guy Krusty. Krusty the Clown. Create. Or not. Why? Well, you know what? I'm going to choose. I'm just going to create a Wood Warrior. Alright. So now this is using... I'm not sure what I did in there. Let me look at the... Sorry, I just want to get to the bottom of this. I want to see why. Oh. Here's why. Plus. There. Okay. I didn't add And then we'll go down to NPC. Save. You need to add and save. And then we'll save the map. Minimize. The menu. Anyway, you can see, this will show you the difference in the art styles. So, if you could see this, my guy is walking around here. I don't know, you can't tell, but it's because there's nothing, no tiles down yet. So, but I've made this Celtic warrior in his tartan there, and he's wandering around. So, we're going to exit out of that. So, but that's my art style. We're going to go to characters. And we're going to delete Krusty. Alright, now we're going to go new. Because there's something I wanted to show you here. Krusty 2. And we're going to call, he's going to be a new class, and we're going to create him. And see, now we can create him because we added that male character. So in the editor for that, game editor, class editor, you can actually make these locked and hidden so people don't see them. And I'll show you later on why we would do that. We'll come back to that, not in this episode, but we'll come back to that in another episode, and you'll see why we do that. So, that being said, so you can see here in the editor, Krusty's facing forward, but if I bring up the player, there's Krusty facing backwards. So, WSAD is your standard movement. Your mouse interacts with things, looks at things. So if I'm walking upward, walking downward, walking sideways, walking sideways. So that is, and there we go. There's my craft teacher. So I was setting up a craft store, and I'll show you how to do that later. However, that is the player. And I know it's sitting over top of the editor, so it's hard to see it, so I'm moving it around. But now, remember I gave this guy 2 points. So if I go, you can pull up your bar here. There's your inventory. I have nothing. Spellbook, nothing. Quest log, nothing. Friends, none. I have no friends. Not part of a guild. And in the chat message it tells me that I am not part of a guild. And I'm not part of a party. And there's my options menu. So, back to character. So you see here, points, 2. So I have nothing. I'm new class, level 1, Krusty the 2. Now if I was a druid or a ward warrior, it would say here, level 1 druid, level 1 ward warrior. Easy breezy, right? Tax 10, defense 10, speed 10, ability power 10, magic resistance 10, points 2. And I have these little pluses. So what I can do here is I can click on that and use that up, and I'll come here and I will go and use that up. Now points 0, and the little pluses went away. So how a lot of people built their games is when you do level up, you get X amount of points per level up, and you do that in the class editor like I did. And so that allows you to skill up your characters. The other thing is like I also did, is you get 1 attack and 1 I forget what the other one was, mana point or something. Those automatically come as well. And there was a hit point in there as well. Or 5 hit points and 5 mana points or something. So then, if you look over here, when this experience hits 100, what happens is I would go from 10 out of 10 to 15 out of 15. And on hit points, I would go from 25 out of 25 to 30 out of 30. And there was also class editor. There was also regen. So like, where's my new class? So my regen, and I'm going to change him now, and I'm going to call him Crazy Clown. Save, and then I'm going to open that up again. Class editor. So, and just to show you, I'm going to open up the client again, and Krusty, Krusty 2, level 2, but if I open up my character again, see? He's now a crazy clown. So that just shows you an example of how most of the changes in the, not all of them, but most of the changes in the editor do not require the server to be rebooted to reflect those changes. So there are some things that do, but there are some things that don't. Like when you add new tile sets and things and new resources in, you should reset the server before utilizing those resources so that the database between the editor and the server are all synced up. But that being said, making changes to pre-existing ones and tables and things, it shouldn't affect you any. So back into here, back into the class editor. Now I'm showing you the class editor first because you need to have classes before you really do anything else in the gameplay. So to me, it's kind of important to pull up that class editor first. I must have it open already. Yep. All right. So you can add all sorts of things, but see that regen? So hit point regen 10%, magic point regen 10%. So what happens there is if you take damage or if you cast spells or whatever, it takes time. And at the clock time, it was in the server settings. You can go back and look. I don't know what it is. Every time that goes around, it's X amount of milliseconds or whatever. Certain actions happen on the server, and these are actions that will happen. So you will gain 10% on your regeneration. So, say 10 seconds. We're just picking a number. I don't know exactly what it is. Oh, you gain 10% of your hit points. So if you have 10 hit points, you'll gain 1 hit point. If you have 100, you'll gain 10. And it's every time that cycles around. So you have some flexibility there with the natural healing rate. And of course, in a lot of these games, you use things that augment that and do healing, this and that. And we'll show you how to set all that up later with items and things. However, it's good to know that when setting up, because you're going to have some, like say a druid or a classic cleric, they tend to heal better. Or like a barbarian class, they're really rugged, robust, they're exposed to the elements, they heal rapidly, right? So they might have a healing of 10%. Whereas your standard knight or your sorcerer or your thief, they might only have 5, right? So you could play with this to get the balance and the flow that you want for your game. So you can also play with it like the class damage. It's like this guy, Krusty Clown, he might do, I just rolled that up, only got a 5. Sorry, the middle mouse button is finicky. If you happen to be hovering over something, you can actually change it just by rolling the mouse. So be very cautious about that because you'll be going, what the heck? Why is this guy killing like 10 times faster than he should? And it's like, well, you probably accidentally rolled that mouse button. So just be aware of that. So over here, let's talk about leveling up. It takes 100 to level up. Experience increase per level, percentage. So this isn't how many points, this is percent. And that's important because some people, yeah. So there's a grid where you can go in and you can edit and you can lay out, or you can just keep it simple. Basically here, it's 50%. So if I have 100, it's going to be 150 to level up. So so that means to reach the next level after I've hit 100. So it'll be, I'll need like 250 experience. Then the next one after that will be, 50% on top of that again. And so on, and so on, and so on. And so you're looking at this, it gets progressively harder to level up. Now, you could change that. Like 50% is pretty steep. Like, whatever. You could have that 10%. You could have that 20%. Or you could have that friggin' 100%. So it's like, okay, it's 100 this time. Next level, I need 200. Next level, I need frickin' 400. Next level, I need 800. And then here's the trick, is how many, when you're creating your NPCs, your mobs, how many experience are awarded for killing one of those or for completing tasks or whatever. You might give no experience for killing mobs. What? It just might be a survival-based game. Whatever. The thing is that you're going to have to figure out that balance for yourself. I can't help you there. There are some good suggestions getting started in there on the forum board. Another thing is, look at classic D&D experience charts. It's like, they're pretty easy to copy. They work pretty good. You can go that route. And that's assuming you're doing it that way. I mean, you might want your player to never level up. You give him 100 hit points to start with, and you make it a survival-based game. Whereas, yeah, he levels up, but he never gets any hit points. But what he does do is gains new skills or whatever. So it's a lot of flexibility. You can do what you want here. Anyway, there's not a lot more I need to really show you in here. I just wanted to show you that the skills where we added those points. See, it's like those were these 2 points. But see here where I've got like add 5 to hit points, add 5 to magic points. You could also say every level, let's add 1 to our attack. Or, no, we got more experience in the world. Let's add 1 to our magic resistance. You know, we're getting a little tougher. We're being exposed to more stuff. We're building up our resistance. Or whatever. You know, if you're a tank, it could be add 1 to your armor. If you're an attacker, it could be 1 to... It depends on the style of game you're going for, right? You know. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure there's that. And then there's also the spawn items. So this is basically, if somebody kills you in PvP combat or something, you're going to spawn a certain item. They're going to pick it up. Rather than a drop. You can set it drop on death. So you've got an item, you're using it, certain percent chance that they drop on death. You can do this for your crafting tools, your armor, your whatever. So for instance, an example of this, logs, collected wood. All right, there's no way you're respawning with your logs. If you die out in the world and you're collecting a bunch of firewood, it's like that firewood is staying there while you limp your way back and when you've died, but somebody's reclaimed you, brought you back and healed you up or whatever, right? However you want to make your respawn work. But you're not going to be bringing them logs back with you, at least not in any sense of reality, right? Like the guy's not going to load up a sled or a cart and bring all your collected resources back with you. So for that, you might want a 100% drop. So if you die, boom, 100%, that resource falls on the ground. You lose it. And with anything that gets dropped on the ground, whether you do it from your inventory or whether it's on you die or a mob drops it, there's a certain amount of time and then that drop disappears. And you can configure all that, but it sits on the ground X amount of time, and if you don't pick it up and loot it or somebody else comes along and picks up and loot it, because if you're playing a mass multiplayer game, another player comes in, they're going to pick that shit up and they're going to take it and you're good to go. So you can configure all that stuff. But anyway, you needed to see the class editor. You needed to know how it worked. You needed to have a good basic overview of it. Play with it. Get it going. We're sitting at 22 minutes now, so what I'm going to do is I didn't change anything, so I'm going to cancel that. Now I'm going to give you just a basic overview of some of these other components that are in the game. So this main window is the map editor. And the map editor, you see these lines? You have areas next to yours. So you can't scroll in or out. You can go up and down, you can move back and forth, and you can use the arrow keys to move into the next areas. So that's important because I don't know, it might tell you in the instructions. I know one guy on YouTube covers it in his, there's something tabs used for too, I forget. But it lets you move between the areas. And you can see here, this area, it looks like a transparent PNG image. And if you don't know what that is, we'll cover it when we get into the art resources because you're going to need to make art stuff. You can use all the stock default built-ins, but you're going to want to get your own, and you're going to want to maybe do some more editing, especially if you're going to personalize this and make it your own game. I mean, it's an engine. It's like any other engine, but it's an engine specific to the task, and it's only as good as the art and the resources and the time, effort, energy, and story you bring to the table with it. So this is a map where there is no map. To create a map here, we double click. Oh, cannot create maps diagonally. So because I'm in this map right now, so I need to actually focus on this map. I've switched to that map. And now I come over here and I can go here, double click, and it will prompt me. Do you want to create a map here? Yes, I do. Perfect. So now I want to go back to my original map. Where's my clown? There's my clown. We'll focus back on this map. And now if you look, if I go over with my arrow keys and go up, that transparent PNG style is now a solid map. So we have a map to work with. And now what I'm going to show you is this map grid. And this is what I was talking about in the server one. As you can see, I have 5 maps created, and you can see my little characters here on my map. This is a zoomed out, a zoomed out view of what's going on. So you get an idea how you can lay out your tiles, how you can build your cities, your towns, your villages, your dungeons, your star maps, your spaceships, your warehouse, your forest, whatever you're doing. This gives you a good overview of it. And there's no limit. You can have 999,999 maps if you want. The thing is, each of these maps, 26 high, 32 long, of whatever size tile you're running. So, whatever you're in, I'm in this tile here, in the center. It's going to load simultaneously around you into memory resources 9 maps, right? So you've got these 3, well, I guess it's not 9 maps, but it's like a 3x3 grid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including yours. Yes, so it's 9 maps. So including yours is 9 maps loaded. So, and as you move into this one, it'll then load these ones. If you move into this one, it'll load these ones, and so on and so forth. So this is why the developer does not want you to change that 26 by 32, or sorry, 32 by 26. You don't need to. You have everything that you need in order to lay down content. So that being said, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to this one, back to our map editor. Oh, the other thing is you can create an unconnected map, and I'm going to show you how that works. So what we're going to do is up here, new. So we don't have any of these labeled except Homestead 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new one. It's going to say, are you sure you want to create a new unconnected map? I'm going to say, yes, I do. So now I have a new unconnected map. Now, what I should have done, I'm going to go here, delete that map. Yes. And now in theory, that should be this one up here in the corner. Yes, it is. So now I don't have that one anymore. I am going to go delete that map, delete that map, and delete the north map. All right. So that leaves me with my homestead. And if I look in my grid, I got my homestead, but I've also got my new map, which is not showing up on my homestead. And you can scroll in and out on this one. When you're here, you can't scroll in and out. It doesn't do anything for you. It just rolls your screen up and down. So I'm going to go to new map, and I'm going to rename it, and we're going to call it Hawse Inside. Now, it's very important. We're not making many maps here, right? So we don't need to be that thorough about it. But it's important to create folders, to create good, sensible, unique identifying names for all of your map and map areas. And you need to get on board with that practice right out of the gate. So what we're going to do is we're creating a folder, and the new folder, we're going to rename it, and we're going to call it Home, if I can spell, Homestead 1. Enter. So we have Homestead 1 created, and now we're going to put this in there, and we're going to put this in there. There we go. So we're going to go to Homestead 1. And now what I want to do is we're actually going to lay down some tiles now. We were sitting at 28 minutes, so we've got a little bit of time. So I'm quickly just going to do this, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. So over here in the tile editor, you have these tabs across the top. So there's attributes, there's lights, there's events, there's NPCs, and there's tiles. We're going to focus on tiles for this, and then we're going to come back in the next episode, and we're going to show you how to use some of these other things. But what we're going to do here is we're simply going to choose. I've named my tile sets. I don't know if you can see this list on the screen, if it's big enough or clear enough for you, but I've named them. So there's like rivers, bridges, PNG, rivers intersection, river, big in PNG, big in whatever. So what I am going to do is I am going to go with the house church one. And what I'm going to do now, if you could see, I have this top 50 by 50 tile selected, right? Now the next one done, now the next one done. And you lay those on one at a time. Right? So there's one, and the next one down. One, whatever you want. And as you can see here, this is lit. You see this little head is lit. And when I hover, it says the ground. But you can see this little blue. It means that is the ground layer. This next one is something laying on the ground. This next one is something laying on that. Then this next one is something above our player's head. You'll see how this one's at his eye level. This one's at his chin level. This one's below him. This one is the top of his head level, but above a little bit. So that's above his head. And then this one is way up here at fringe 2. And you can add a fringe 3 in the editor. It's not enabled by default. You can just copy, add another layer. You could put clouds or something there, but this is much higher up. So like treetops or clouds or birds or whatever you want to add there. But that's how those work. And so when you click on them, you put a tile in a different area. So just for instance, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to this second layer, and I'm going to take this plant. How about this barrel? Do I got a barrel? There a barrel. And I'm going to put the barrel on top. Okay, so now what I've done is I've kept those tiles. They're stacked. So if I'm on this layer, I have that tile, but if I right click and delete that tile, now you can see my ground layer, right? But if I'm on the ground layer, I right click and delete, it's totally gone. I come back to here, put this down, take this tile, click it down. Well, you'd think it's on top just like before, but no, I'm on the ground layer. So now if I right click, it's black again. There's nothing because I just deleted that tile. When I click this down over top of that first tile, it replaced it. And so what that does is replaces whatever tile, because you can only have one tile sitting on one layer representing one level. So some people may not like that because in modern 3D engines you can do a bunch of blending and merging and this and that and a whole bunch of other. It is a 2D engine. You need to keep in mind that it does have limitations. That's one of the limitations. However, for many, many decades, well, not many, but for a couple of decades, people have worked around that system by using the Z layering. And that's essentially what these different layers are, is your Z layering, which is stacking. One thing on top of another like a deck of cards. So, that being said, we want to be on the first layer, and we're just going to grab, rather than grab one tile at a time, we're going to grab 6 tiles at a time. And you can see, this is why I was talking in the first video, and I think I briefly touched on this, about my 50 by 50 pixel and doing a 6 by 6 stack. So then I've got a border on all of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this house in this top corner. Bang. All right. But now I could add something else out here. I could add 2, 3, 4. I could add fields. I could do whatever. I'm going to go into, let's just go something simple. Where's the simple fields? Field, PNG. And I'm just going to take that first grouping because my area is still selected on the map. I'm going to click in there. But what if I want a different one? What if I want one with these trees on them? Scroll down here. And then I take him. Bang. And now I've got some trees. Well, what if I want something else here because I've got this kind of road thing? Well, let's go over here. Let's find one that might have something a little more. Let's go square side streets. Nope, that's a road. Road straight. I want the center sides. Sure. So I think I want this one here. So you can scroll all the way over to get to it, but you can also widen your working area. Yeah, that makes it a little easier. And I could take the top ones. I got some rocks there and a couple of things, but I'm just going to take this bottom one because it's right here. mix it up. I haven't taken the bottom corner yet. And I'm going to pop him in right there. All right, now I'm going to save this map. All right, and now we're going to bring back the client. I don't know where my client is. Oh, no. Let's get rid of that. I wasn't supposed to talk to anyone. Huh. I might have been in the wrong zone to build that. Well, that's okay, because are we in grid layout? Map properties, homestead 1. No, we should be there. Save map. Map editor. Yeah, there's my, let's go to events. Yeah, we got my event. Okay. So this is where something's come up. The player for whatever reason hasn't updated. There we go. So now we're in. And you could see, I'm just going to make this full screen here. Settings, video. We're just going to make it bigger. Let's go 1280 by 706. Perfect. Okay. So we just made this bigger. But as you can see, I'm walking around. I do have other non-player characters and things on here that I didn't delete, so you'll see that. But you can see there's the area that I made. Now I don't have a map up above, so it's not scrolling up above to show me. By the way, F11 hides your heads-up display. It hides your GUI. And you can bring it back simply by hitting F11 again. So there we go. There's the little house that we built. And you can see that we can walk right over it. We have no blocking, no nothing taking place. So we're going to minimize. And we're going to bring the editor back up again. But now what we can do, and I'll get into this other stuff later, but what we can do now is we're going to go over here to inside. And what we're going to do here is we're going to map out on my screen there. And then we're going to want to go to the fields again. And I believe it was that one. And then we're going to want to go back to the, what was it, house and church one. But instead of grabbing that tile, I want the one that matches up. You can see how I've got these all rotated for different. I want to rotate that. And I'm going to put that there. Then we're going to save our map. So now, what we need to do is we need to go to an event. And we're going to put an event right here. And we are going to do a command. So what events are the events are, we're going to get into this in way more detail, but they're basically calling code to do certain functions to make things happen. And so what we're going to do here is we want to set an event, and we want to go warp player. All right, warp player to homestead 1. And then we want to go to a certain X and a certain Y. And if you look at this, where the mouse is, I should be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One. And Y should be. Perfect. Okay. Save. Save the map. And then we want to go to house inside. Oh yeah, okay. Homestead 1. Oh, cancel. And then we're going to go here. And then we're going to come down here to player control. Pass player control to warp player. Homestead inside. And again, we're going to go to, and we're going to make you right in the middle of the room. No, we're going to go perfect. Okay, save. All right, and we're going to save that map. Now we're going to bring the client back up here. Okay, and now, in theory, it didn't work. So I'm going to have to figure out why that didn't work. It is possible that there's something else I need to do in there. Trigger. Oh. We're going to go play a ball. Save. Okay. Save map. And homestead 1. So, everybody needs to keep in mind that I am familiar with this, but every time I go to do something, it's like there's so many different options, so many different things to click on, so many different availabilities and things that I don't always remember every little step of the way, and sometimes I gotta look again and figure it out as I'm doing it. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that. So wait. We're in Homestead 1. Let me just look at that event. Probably forgot to save. Warp player. Warp player 2. Homestead inside. 2 in. 3 in. 3 in. Okay. Save. Alright, now we go homestead inside. And bump. Save. Save the map. Yes. Open the player. Alright, now we haven't set up any blocking or anything yet. We'll get to that in the next episode. Oh, why is it not working? I was sure that's all it was going to take. Huh. Well, I'm going to figure that out for the next episode. But basically, that lets you warp between a closed house and an inside house. So, yeah, I was really hoping to show you that, but for some reason I haven't got that working. So I'll have to figure out what I did wrong there. It's probably something simple, but because we're at 44 minutes, I'm going to end this now. I will quickly show you that when I'll pick up here in the next video, and I will show you how some of the other the attributes, the NPCs and things like that work. They're in the tile editor for the next step. So now that we'll have it working, what I will probably do is I will get that working. I'll flush out a little bit more of this map just to have something to show you, and then we'll go from there. So we'll end it this time, and I'll see you on the next one.